You do cover Texas A&M.
I do. That is
for the
correct.
Dallas Morning News. And so while we have you, I feel like it's probably prudent to at least get a little bit of information from you. You've been around the A&M program. There's obviously a lot of question marks. I know there's a big upside to this team. When you are around A&M, what is the vibe that you're getting as far as, how this team is feeling heading into the fall?
I think everyone knows that A&M needs to essentially make strides. When they came into the SEC, the Johnny Manziel years, Kevin Sumlin's first years, they did incredibly well. And I think what's been frustrating is that they did so well is that they've kind of never been able to get back to that point where you're hitting a double-digit win total. They've been steady at 8 the last few years, and I think people are growing restless. Now, it's also worth noting that the levels they're at now, it's not something that they've had recently. Historically, it hasn't been something A&M's been able to attain, when you go back and look at the last 10, 12 years, things of that nature.
And I think that's a really interesting point, and one that I've made to friends is, like, I think in a lot of respects, people talk about Kevin Sumlin being on the hot seat. It's kind of a product of his own success, right?
Correct, yeah.
It's like he set the bar so high in 2012. And in 2012, the bar got set so high, and when you're in, and it was kind of this notion of, we're in this really tough division, but look, we can come in and compete right away and be right in the mix. And the bottom line of it is that that's just not how that division is built. That's not how that works in
right.
the SEC West.
Right, and I think the other thing you look at too, and why A&M fans are upset, and it's because the amount of resource that have been poured into someone in the Aggies. You were talking about, you got a new stadium now, a ton of great facilities. Kevin Sumlin, salary-wise, is one of the tops in the country. Mm-hmm. And when all the other things are among the best in the country, you want your football team to be the same way. But just because you spend a ton of money doesn't mean you can make it happen. Ultimately, you still got to go out, and you're going to have to compete against Alabama and LSU on the recruiting trail. You're going to have to go week in, week out in a very tough division, and it's still something A&M's getting used to because, SEC football's changing, and, what A&M was playing before they came into the SEC with Johnny Manziel, A&M wasn't necessarily playing SEC football.
Sure.
It's something to keep in mind. But it's very interesting to see what happens this year. I think, personally, if they go 8-4 or 8-5 again, I think that's actually a great year. Mm-hmm. I think it might be someone's best coaching job. If he's there, because there's not a lot coming back. They'll have the talent to compete in 2018, but, if they can, I think the question's going to be, is can he endure 17 and how that happens?
And, of course, the big question, and then we'll get into the important stuff like chicken.
Yes.
The important question, and the question on the mind of everybody, is who's going to be taking the snaps. 3 guys look like they're in the mix: Nick Starkel, Kellen Mond, Jake Hubenak. Do you have a feel for who you think they're going to go? Obviously, I don't think anybody really knows for sure. I don't think Kevin Sumlin even knows for sure. But do you have a feeling as to where they're leaning?
That is I have a hunch.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling it might be one of the freshmen, but at times I've said Hubenak might be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's arguments for all 3. Do you want to go ahead? Do you want to start a freshman that young early, especially with Mond? You're talking about a true freshman. Do you want to just let the senior kind of do it as long as he can, and once the younger guys get a hold of the system, and if Hubenak's serviceable, then kind of keep him there. If not, do you go with Starkel, who was a Oklahoma State commit, a guy A&M got late because of what happened with their quarterback situation in 2015 with Kyler Murray and Kyle Allen, or do you go with Kellen Mond, a guy who runs the zone read really well, who would be a really good fit in the RPO scheme of offense coordinator Noel Mazzoni. And I covered Kellen when he was at San Antonio Reagan. I worked for the Express News. He runs the read option so well, hides the ball really well, and is such a great athlete that he'll be able to succeed once he gets the hang of everything. The big question is going to be is can he adapt to, how's his arm and his passing ability? I think that's something that people have questions about, and so we'll see how it shakes out. But there's a lot of, no matter what happens, it's going to be an incredibly intriguing year.